This is Scott Becker with the Becker Private Equity Podcast. Today's discussion is business and life are not binary pursuits, plus 15 stories that we're following. In the discussion on business and life not being binary, we'll talk about at the end of this podcast. Some of the things aren't either or, but they're both. There's not one way of doing things. There's a couple ways of doing things, and we'll talk about that more as we get going later on. First, the stories we're following today. Futures point slightly up this morning. The Fed's expected to hold rates steady right now. Doesn't mean they won't raise rates again later this year or next year. This is good news that the Fed's about ready to hold rates a little bit. We've got too many companies, too many families that have piled up too much debt, and they've become very fragile as these interest rates go up so significantly. So that gives us great concern. The second story we're following today, the NASDAQ, the Dow, and the S&P were all slightly down yesterday. Again, they point up a little bit today. To give you a context for the S&P 500, it's trading near a 52-week high. The range for the year is 3,500 to 4,600. It's right about 4,500 now. Bitcoin, our third story, also rose the last couple of days back to 27,000 plus. The 52-week range for Bitcoin is approximately 15,600 to 31,800. Fourth, a great story about Google expressing concern about Amazon biting into the digital ad business. Of course, Google is almost wholly built around the digital ad business plus the cloud business. Amazon, Microsoft, and Google are the three biggest cloud suppliers in the country. Amazon is growing in digital ad business. It's up nearly 64% year to date. Google's up nearly 57% year to date. I guess the good news on my own investing front is I'm an investor in Microsoft and Amazon, which have done quite well. But I should also point out separately that I've been slammed on Bitcoin and cannabis. So it is what it is. I'd say my efforts as an individual investor versus just investing in index funds and treasuries is not so great. But at least these two are winners compared to my Bitcoin and cannabis investing, even though cannabis is up right now. Fifth, great discussion on Microsoft picking up steam. The Yahoo Finance says Microsoft is an aircraft carrier at its apex, and the concept being that it's about to turn up further. It's up 37% year to date. Just rates its dividend by 10%, so doing well. Sixth, Disney, which is finding trouble in the split world of streaming and parks, is about to double down on its parks and cruise spending, saying that they're going to be about $60 billion in over the next 10 years. Disney's down about 5.7% year to date. Seventh, oil dropped slightly back to $90 a barrel. Its 52-week range is $64 to $94, so trading close to the top of that range. Eighth, FTX sues Sam Bankman-Fried's parents. Fascinating situation with Sam Bankman-Fried, the founder of FTX, one-time multi-billionaire in crypto, now in trouble. Ninth, and this was the start of covering 4 or 5 healthcare stories. First, President Zelensky from Ukraine visited Northwell Health yesterday. Great kudos to Mike Dowling, the crazily magnificent leader of Northwell Health. 10th, Ascension reported a $3 billion loss last year. There's a story by Alan Condon, editor-in-chief of Becker's, about how they're trying to cut down that loss. 11th, great for me to be guest on podcast by Quint Studer and Mendel Irwine the last few weeks that were released the last couple of days. Just fascinating. 12th, another story in Becker's Healthcare, Mercy Healthcare to launch hospital at home. Everybody's trying to figure out hospital at home as a way to pare labor costs, become more reliant on technology, and pare real estate costs. 13th, one of the great challenges you have going on right now is nurse wages. Nurses at California Hospital get 19% raise, reported by Kelly Gooch. Again, those are serious raises, and you'll see how this plays out for a number of systems if they have serious wage inflation. 14th, 9 most active PE firms in healthcare, an article by Noah Schwartz from PitchBook, TA Associates leading the way. Another story I'll note, a number of huge venture capital investments in artificial AI and generative health. A couple of those being led by Andreessen Horowitz and General Catalyst. Fascinated to see what's going on there. Full disclosure, I happen to be an investor with Andreessen Horowitz, so we do follow it closely. Fascinating what's going on there. 15th, American Physician Partners files for bankruptcy. Molly Gamble covered this story. And then finally, 16th, the story that we led with, business, life, everything's not a binary dispute, not a binary world. You don't have to be good in one thing and not another. Ultimately, you've got to be good at a couple of things. If you're playing golf, ultimately you want to be good. You better learn a short game and off the tee. You better learn how to draw and to fade. So you got different options. Very similar in business and in life. It's not binary. You can't be just good in sales or engineering, sales or product development. You got to ultimately be good in both. And you often don't have to choose. I'm only going to invest in one versus the other. Yes, you have to make choices, but you have to figure out where you're going to put your core investment and efforts. Similarly, in tennis, we talk about this often. You ultimately probably got to learn how to hit topspin and a slice. You got to be able to have a serve and a net game. Life is ultimately not a binary pursuit. It's not either or. And it does mean you want to be great at certain things, 100%. But many times, you've got to hedge bets and be great at a few things. We often talk about this concept of burn the boats or hedge your bets. And for me, it's very much a hedge your bets. I'll make lots of interesting bets in different venture capital and private equity, but I'm going to do that knowing that I've got a ton invested in treasuries and very safe stuff. It's not either or. It's not burn the boats and commit to venture capital investing and private equity investing. It's both. Life is not a binary pursuit. In any event, thank you for listening to the Becker Private Equity Podcast. Again, life is not binary, plus 15 other stories. We hope you enjoy this. Feel free to text or reach me anytime at 773-766-5322. Thank you very much. And thank you to Kate Cruz, our magnificent producer today. Thank you very much, Kate.